Hi, I am KB with the Color Grade Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And so, my first question is, when and how were you first made aware of Greenwood and the Tulsa Massacre? I always find it's an interesting story because, I grew up in Texas. So, with my parents, they told me very early on about it, but I have been meeting people recently who were just now exposed to this story, this history through pop culture, whether it be through Watchmen or Lovecraft Country. So, tell me a little bit about your first exposure to it.
I think I known the story in its broadest outlines for a while. I've been making films about history for 30 years or so. So in research, I knew a little bit about it. About 3 years ago, I made a film called Boss about Black entrepreneurs, and we had a segment on Tulsa and the race massacre, but it was like 7 minutes, and it just kind of whetted my appetite. I knew that it was a bigger story. I knew that it was a much richer story, and to be able to have the opportunity to tell this story was really a gift. And so I jumped at the chance to tell it as a kind of a full film. What was important to us from the beginning is that also to celebrate the community, that they built a community out there. Had stores and schools and a black sheriff and all those things, and they really built a community. So we knew from the beginning that we wanted that to be part of it. That that you can't tell the story of Greenwood and the massacre without talking about the community that was created and why and the love and dignity and respect that that community demanded. So we knew from the very beginning that that was part of it. I think the subjects. We started with a couple of people and historians that we had met during the earlier film Boss, but then quickly branched out. We knew that we would need a lot more people, a lot more characters in this film, and we just started talking to people, and one thing led to another. Like so many times, making films, people have stayed in contact, or they say, hey, it's great talking to me, but you should talk to somebody else down the street, and somebody else points you to another person. So we were able to find great characters. I think they're much richer and deeper than we knew going in. I think that was one of the surprises that we found so many incredible people, that are still connected to Tulsa.
And how long did it actually take to make this film? Because there's a lot of archival footage that's brought in. Of course, there are a lot of present day scenes that are brought in from 2020, and of course, the shooting of that on Unarmed Black Man. And so there's a lot of different layers. So I am curious how long it's taken to kind of bring this documentary to life. And also, how did you end up partnering with Marco and Russell on this project?
Okay, so those are two distinct distinct questions. So I think that it took around 8 months to make the film or so, but we were always fast tracked because we knew that we wanted to get the film done for the 100th anniversary of the massacre, or the 100th commemoration. It's not an anniversary; it really is a commemoration of the massacre. So we knew that going in. So we just kind of had to like take off the brakes and go all system ahead. Um, and I know Marco for a long time. We worked on another film together, Tell Them We Are Rising, a film about historically Black colleges and universities. Marco and I co-directed that film. And so I thought of Marco immediately to help work on this. Um, and Russell Westbrook was attached to the project, when it came to us. When it came to me, Russell was attached to it. He's the perfect choice. He spent the vast majority of his career in Oklahoma and was really attached to the story and really wanted to tell the story. So it was just kind of a real meeting of the minds, and it was a thrill to work with Russell and his team.
Yes, absolutely. So for you, kind of what type of healing, I guess, for you personally, did working on this project provide? I often find that through art, and even through the art that I create, something happens with every single project that kind of brings me to a new version or a new layer of myself. And I can imagine working on a project so heavy but so near and dear, and so intriguing in a lot of ways on the side of like Greenwood being what Greenwood could have been, had this massacre continued to have been, rather, had this massacre not have occurred. I'm sure there's something there. So kind of how did it help you, just as a Black man living in America?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something cathartic about working on this project, um, to actually work on something, to actually devote some of my time, to actually devote some of my artistic energy, for a better term, to this, helps me as a Black man. It feels like I did something, and it might not be much, but it's the something that I can do. I'm a filmmaker. That's so that's what I can do. I can make films, but also I think that there's something else in that, you know going to Tulsa, meeting people, under talking to people, understanding that there are still people around, that there is a community, that they see themselves as a community, that they're very proud of not only what Greenwood was, but what it is. Made me realize that that they weren't destroyed. They were not destroyed, by the massacre in 1921.
I actually really like to hear that, what they still are and the pride that they still have and the work that they're still doing in their community. So, my last question really is just when people get to see this beautiful documentary, what do you hope that they take away from it? What do you hope that audiences walk away with that?
Sorry, I'm moving around because the sun is shifting and
Oh,
just coming.
that's okay. It makes for great lighting though.
Yeah, well, it's really bright lighting. It's like make my head shine. But I mean, I think that there's no one thing that I want people to see. I mean, it's a very complicated story. I think that we understand what happened in 1921, and that it was part of a systematic destroyal of African American communities. And Greenwood was the biggest and the best, but it was a systematic destruction of communities, but also, that the community lives on in many ways, and that we have to look at our past. We have to look at our past honestly, to go to a honest and progressive future. We really need to struggle with some of these things, as hard as it is, as hard as it is for people, but we really need to talk about it, and look at it and think about it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for chatting with the Color Grade podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.